Welcome back to Gleeman's Lullaby, the deep dive that unpacks the pattern, one intricate thread at a time.
We are deep in the heart of Robert Jordan's epic, The Great Hunt.
And this is episode 6, Threads of Fate.
These 5 chapters, 29 through 33, this is really where the personal struggles of our heroes, they just collide head-on with cosmic destiny.
Absolutely.
If you felt like the first half of the book was a chaotic chase,
Yeah.
well, these pages, they really solidify the terrifying stakes.
Yeah, it feels like the mission parameters were already deadly, but now suddenly they're facing this duality. On one hand, you have the lethal political game of Cairhien, the subtle knife fight they call Dies Daimar.
Right.
And then on the other, they're simultaneously dragged into a far older stranger conflict, a destiny that's not being foretold by kings or Aes Sedai, but by these mysterious, isolated warriors from the Waste.
The world just got infinitely bigger for Rand and his friends.
And infinitely more dangerous.
So our mission today is to follow those two paths, the political one and the prophetic one, and just see how they converge. We need to understand not just, what the characters are doing, but why their choices right here in this moment determine everything that comes next.
We're looking for those little nuggets of lore and strategic insight.
The ones that really define this turning point.
Okay, let's unpack this intricate weaving of fate and politics, starting right in the eye of the storm. The city of Cairhien.
We should probably set the scene a little first.
Yeah, let's do a quick recap. We've established the setting. Cairhien, a city that's defined by this, almost paralyzing formality and rigid hierarchy.
Mm-hmm.
Rand, Loyal, and Urien arrived here a few chapters ago. They're looking for the Horn of Valere, they're looking for Fain, and they immediately find themselves caught in this political undertow.
Indeed. And Rand, in a desperate attempt to maintain neutrality and, frankly, his sanity, he tried to escape all the unwanted attention in the Wilder Foregate district.
That is such a characteristic move for him.
It is. He just wants to be Rand al'Thor the Shepherd. He does not want to be a pawn in some noble's game.
So how did that work out for him?
It went spectacularly poorly. The noble houses of Cairhien, especially House Damodred, they were instantly vying for his attention. They sensed this potential power in this, unknown, newly arrived figure with a Shannarian escort.
Right.
And Rand, whose distaste for formality runs so deep, he was literally burning their invitations. The book tells us he resolved to keep them unopened.
He's forcing them to speculate wildly on what he's doing, but he's not committing to anything.
It's the ultimate shepherd's defense mechanism, right? If I ignore the great game, it can't affect me.
He's treating their political maneuvering like a stray dog. If he doesn't feed it, it'll eventually just go away.
Except Cairhien is designed to starve you if you refuse to play. The city's structure, its entire culture, it revolves around who sits higher on that proverbial column of social status.
And the turmoil he was trying to avoid, it just got way, way worse right before these chapters.
Dramatically so. We had that violent Trolloc attack in the Foregate, and that was followed by the massive explosion and fire at the Illuminator's chapter house.
That fire is so important. It signals that the shadow isn't just lurking somewhere in the background. It's actively destabilizing the highest levels of society, of infrastructure.
Separate chaos.
It's chaos designed to cover a retreat.
Exactly. It's a massive, violent flare-up that tells you two things. Fain is here.
And he is deadly serious about getting away.
And right into that swirling smoke and disaster, in walk Mat and Perrin.
And here's where the emotional core of the series just really shines through that reunion in chapter 31.
It's an incredible scene.
Rand is standing there amidst the wreckage of this burned inn, feeling completely overwhelmed by the chaos, the responsibility, the titles being thrown at him, and just the literal smoke.
It's a really emotionally profound moment, and, the book doesn't shy away from depicting the toll this whole experience is taking on Rand.
Not at all.
Mat and Perrin reappear just as Rand seems like he's on the brink of despair.
Yeah.
And his reaction, according to the text, is just so telling.
He laughs.
He begins to laugh in a bittersweet acknowledgement of the turmoil surrounding them.
That laugh is the ultimate release valve, isn't it? It's not joy. It's the sheer absurdity of their shared situation finally breaking that overwhelming tension.
They're just farm boys from the Two Rivers.
And they're standing in a burned-out city, surrounded by nobles and dark friends, looking for legendary artifacts. It's insane.
And it really emphasizes the strange, unbreakable strength of their friendships amidst all this unrelenting chaos.
After the isolation Rand's been through and the harsh realities he's faced, just seeing Mat and Perrin, even Mat, who's clearly still suffering, It's this crucial grounding anchor for him.
That shared understanding immediately grounds their purpose in Chapter 32.
Right.
Once the whole group is together again, they confirm the critical twin goals that bind them. First, retrieving the Horn of Valere.
The legendary artifact needed to summon heroes for the last battle.
And just as important, retrieving the ruby-hilted dagger.
We really need to pause on that dagger for a second, because it's so easy to forget just how critical it is for Mat.
Absolutely. The dagger is essential for Mat's survival and his healing. He's suffering from the Shader Logoth taint.
And for anyone who needs a quick reminder, Shader Logoth was that corrupted, abandoned city where the darkness wasn't from the Great Lord, but from this separate, older, and maybe even more insidious evil called Mashadar.
Right. That taint is a slow-acting spiritual corruption that has poisoned Mat through the dagger.
So losing the dagger wasn't just losing some magical item.
No. It meant losing the thing that contained and controlled the evil that is literally poisoning Mat's soul. He's dying without it.
So now the whole Two Rivers gang is back together, minus the girls, and they have the urgency of Mat's survival hanging over the mission, which, for Rand, is maybe even more compelling than the fate of the world.
And they have their key?
Hurin the Sniffer.
Hurin's unique ability to track people by the scent of violence or evil allows him to quickly pinpoint the Dark Friend trail.
And he tracks that evil scent right to the manor of a very powerful figure, Lord Barthane's Demoderan.
Which is a gut punch to the group. It confirms that the enemy is operating right at the pinnacle of society.
And the person who confirms the extreme danger of this whole infiltration is none other than Verin Mathwin.
The brown Aja Aes Sedai, who's been traveling with Ingtar's group.
Her warning in Chapter 32 is this huge piece of strategic intelligence that immediately just raises the stakes.
It really does. She alerts them to the extreme danger of infiltrating a noble house, confirming that dark friends operate at the highest levels of society. She says it so clearly. There are dark friends among the highs as well as the low.
And that confirms Rand's worst fears. This isn't just about, shadowy agents and Trollocs in dark alleys.
Well,
this is about infiltrating the political and aristocratic elite, the very people Rand is trying so desperately to avoid.
It's the ultimate confirmation that the game of houses, Days Daymar, is actually the Shadows game too.
It makes total sense why Rand hates it so much. He's being asked to play this impossible game where the rules are literally life and death.
And that leads us directly to the point where the politics should be their sole focus. But fate intervenes with a completely different kind of threat and a different kind of prophecy.
Okay, so before the main group's reunion in Cairhien, we actually need to shift back a little bit in time to Chapter 29.
Right.
Perrin is traveling with Intar's Yarn group. They're going through this challenging terrain of Kinslayer's dagger, and they're determined to find Rand, Loyal, and Hurin, who vanished through a portal stone earlier in the book.
And this journey is profoundly difficult for Perrin internally. He's wrestling with his wolf brother identity.
This dangerous psychic connection he has to the wolf pack. It's forcing him to fight his own nature.
He's using the connection to help the hunt, tracking, sensing danger, but every single time he uses it, he's afraid he's losing his humanity. That internal conflict is so raw, he's thinking, I'm a man, not a wolf. Light help me, I am a man.
And right in the middle of that psychological battle, they experience one of the biggest lore drops of the entire series up to this point.
The appearance of an Aiel warrior named Urien.
This is a pivotal moment.
Oh, it's huge, because it's the first major on-page encounter with an Aiel in a non-combative conversational setting in the main narrative.
Right. Everything the Westlands knows about the Aiel is through the lens of the Bloody Aiel War.
Exactly.
So as a first-time listener, this is where my historical perspective just slams into the prophetic reality. I'm thinking, wait a second. I thought the Aiel were the bad guys from the Aiel War. The formidable warriors who burned down half the continent. Why is Urien armed and poised, introducing himself non-hostilely and looking for Rand?
And that is the pivotal surprise that Jordan drops on you. Urien is poised, confident, armed with his spear and buckler, but he approaches with this measured, non-aggressive curiosity.
So he's not looking for a fight?
Not at all. He spotted the Shi'ar armor of the escort, and he recognized the look of a wise one, that kind of intense, calculating gaze on Verin.
Okay.
This made him think they might have word of the great events that might signal his quarry. His purpose is not invasion or raiding or war. His purpose is a sacred quest.
So what is the Aiel's ultimate purpose for leaving the Waste?
Urien reveals he's one of many Aiel who have left the Waste in search of he who comes with the dawn.
A prophesied figure.
A prophesied figure tied inextricably to Aiel traditions. And crucially, he connects the Trollocs' presence in the Westlands directly to Aiel prophecies.
So the chaos, the rising of the shadow, for him, those are signs.
They're signs that the figure Urien seeks, the dragon reborn, Rand has prophesied to return, the Aiel are hunting the dragon.
Wow. This one meeting completely flips the script on the prevailing cultural beliefs about the Aiel.
It does.
The Westlanders thought the Aiel were driven by conquest, and now we learn they're driven by this deep, ancient prophetic quest tied to the fate of the entire world.
Absolutely. And to really grasp the depth of this motivation, we have to spend a minute on the lore Urien shares about his homeland, the Waste.
Right. He calls it the Threefold Land.
A phrase that is absolutely central to Aiel identity and their national trauma.
What does that concept, the Threefold Land, actually mean for their culture?
Well, Urien explains it with this precise, chilling clarity, and we really have to quote it directly from chapter 29. He says it is a shaping stone to make us, a testing ground to prove our worth, and a punishment for the sin.
A punishment for the sin. That single line is a mountain of cultural trauma. It implies a history of struggle, not just for survival in a harsh desert, but for redemption.
It speaks to an ancient collective guilt. Urien elaborates. He says the sin was, so long ago it was that none remember, except the wise ones and the clan chiefs, and they will not speak of it.
So they don't even know what they're being punished for.
They don't. He continues, it must have been a very great sin if they cannot bring themselves to tell us, but the Creator punishes us well.
Think about that psychological weight. Their entire culture is founded on the belief that they're collectively atoning for an ancient, unforgivable mistake that even their leaders refuse to name.
The Waste isn't just a physical location for them. It's a form of perpetual penance.
That reframes everything about the Aiel. Their famous valor, their ferocity, their rigid codes of honor. It's not aggression for its own sake.
No, it's a perpetual striving to prove their worth and earn redemption through struggle. The Waste is a shaping stone that makes them hard because they feel they need to be worthy of forgiveness.
And Urien's whole demeanor reflects that complex code of honor.
Yeah.
He's standing there armed, ready to fight if he has to, but he holds back.
Right. This encounter is non-combative. It reflects their deep code of honor and their focus on the mission, their famous shufa, the veil they wear in battle.
It symbolizes their willingness to face death.
But Urien leaves it down here. He's willing to talk, to share this deep lore, because he sees Ingtar's company as relevant to his sacred hunt.
And the most fascinating part of this whole exchange is how it affects the one person who should be the most unflappable.
Verin Sedai.
Yes.
Verin, the brown Aja researcher, is utterly mesmerized. She's an Aes Sedai driven by the pursuit of knowledge, and Aiel lore is notoriously secret. It's like the White Tower's holy grail of historical and prophetic research.
And the book notes her reaction, where she just murmurs, gazing up at Urien.
What would I not give to have you in the White Tower? We're just willing to talk.
That's massive. A senior Aes Sedai is practically salivating over a single Aiel warrior.
It highlights the extreme rarity and the monumental value of the information Urien just shared. This knowledge is power that the White Tower has been desperate to acquire for centuries.
And Rand has now stumbled right into the heart of it.
So, in the space of a single chapter, the world of the characters shifts from regional politics chasing a thief to this continental-scale prophetic hunt for a figure tied to the Aiel's millennia-old struggle.
Having just seen that vast canvas of prophecy Urien painted, it's almost darkly comedic that Rand has to immediately shrink his focus back down to maneuvering to survive a single dinner party.
Now we return to Cairhien. Rand and his friends know the horn and the dagger are inside Lord Barthanes' manor. They have no choice but to participate in the political game, Jesus Daemar, if they want to get Mat the healing he desperately needs.
Chapter 31 really emphasizes Rand's just boiling frustration with the constant subtle manipulations in this system. He declares, I do not want to play it. I do not want to be any part of it.
He desperately wants to focus on his friends and the physical mission, not noble backstabbing.
And this is just made worse by the behavior of his own traveling companions. The book notes his particular tension with Huron's increasing formality.
Calling him Lord Rand.
Right. And this isn't just about Huron being polite, is it?
No, it's Rand's growing discomfort with the role the world is forcing him into. Every time he hears Lord Rand, it underscores his rejection of rigid hierarchy in favor of that genuine Two Rivers connection.
He's clinging to his identity as just a shepherd, even as the world insists on treating him as a noble lord with limitless political potential.
It's a psychological struggle. He feels that if he embraces the title and the hierarchy, he's going to lose himself. He recognizes that by playing the great game, he sacrifices his identity.
Yet duty requires that sacrifice if they're going to successfully infiltrate this highly protected lair.
Precisely. Duty calls, and Huron's scent trail leads them right into the lion's den. To recover the artifacts, the group is forced to attend a lavish party at Lord Barthane's Dambridge's manor in Chapter 33.
So, describe the atmosphere of this covert operation for us.
It's a classic infiltration mission set against this backdrop of grotesque opulence mixed with extreme danger. The manor is described as grand, but it carries an unmistakable air of threat.
Especially since Verin confirmed this is likely a Dark Friend hub.
Exactly. The entire operation is covert, where each member of Rand's group has their own task to fulfill. Perrin is watching for trouble. Huron is tracking the specific path inside.
And Rand is forced to engage in high society conversation.
And he has to put on the performance of a lifetime. He asserts his identity as Lord Rand of House Althor, embracing the very persona he despises.
But he feels the oppressive watchfulness of the guests. It's not just polite scrutiny, it's a constant evaluation of weakness.
And this is the essence of Dies Daemar, the Cairhien game of houses. It's a game of unspoken language, veiled threats, and deadly implications. The subtle manipulations are immediately apparent in his conversation with Lord Barthanes.
Okay, we need to go deeper into those dangerous words. What exactly is Barthanes doing to Rand, and how does he weaponize seemingly harmless conversation?
Barthanes is a master player. His conversation with Rand is laced with double meanings and subtle manipulations, which is really the only language the Cairhien elite speak.
And Rand's realization, which is painful, is that even harmless comments carry these deep implications among the nobles.
Yes.
Okay, so give us an example of how that works. If Rand says, "I admire your wine cellar," what is Barthanes hearing?
Well, if Rand innocently praises the wine cellar, Barthanes hears several things. First, he hears Rand establishing his knowledge of status symbols. Second, Barthanes might reply with an overly generous smile, "Ah, Lord Rand, I'm glad you appreciate the vintages that only a family with centuries of deep roots in Cairhien can cultivate."
Which is subtly dismissive.
Exactly. Barthanes just implied, "You are an upstart lord, you don't have those centuries of roots, so be careful what you claim to know."
Okay.
Or consider a more strategic example. Barthanes might casually ask Rand about his childhood, seemingly trying to establish common ground. Rand, being honest, might mention farming sheep or the quiet life of the two rivers.
And Barthanes would hear weakness.
Worse than weakness.
Yeah.
He hears lack of preparation. He confirms that Rand is an amateur, someone who can be easily manipulated. Rand's honesty is his biggest liability here.
He's struggling with the pressure of being scrutinized for his identity, for his association with Aes Sedai like Verin.
And Barthanes is testing all those boundaries. He's checking allegiances, and he's looking for any piece of information that can be leveraged.
So Rand's deep discomfort with the hierarchy is entirely rational, because his survival depends on him immediately mastering a language that's Dies Daemar, that he spent his whole life trying to reject.
He has to embody Lord Rand, while simultaneously knowing he's just a shepherd wearing a borrowed coat.
And that struggle forces Rand to seek refuge, a moment of genuine human connection in a room full of vipers.
Leading him right to the most shocking reunion of the entire book.
And that's where the pattern gives Rand a break. Or maybe it just trades one kind of danger for another.
A different kind, for sure.
Rand is intensely uncomfortable at Barthanes' party. He's feeling that oppressive watchfulness and the weight of conversations he doesn't understand. He seeks refuge from the nobles.
And that refuge is found with the Gleeman, Thom Merrilin.
This is maybe the most profound emotional touchstone for Rand in these chapters.
It really is. Rand believed Thom was dead. He last saw him at Whitebridge in Book 1, sacrificing himself against a murd droll so the boys could escape.
So the reunion isn't just surprising, it's profoundly restorative. Thom's presence reminds Rand of his old mentor and the value of stability and connection outside the chaos of prophecy.
Rand is immediately just overwhelmed by the sheer relief that his friend is alive.
The text emphasizes that the warmth of camaraderie envelops him like a comforting cloak. But this isn't the carefree Thom. When Rand last saw him, he was an entertainer hiding from trouble. Now he's at Lord Barthanes' party. Dressed in quality, if somewhat showy, clothes, he's navigating this environment.
Thom has undergone a transformation. He is no longer just the traveling gleeman from the two rivers. He is actively navigating and manipulating the very same game of houses that Rand is trying desperately to avoid.
So his purpose there isn't clear, but his ability to just exist inside this elite circle proves he's an operator.
He is. He's not just an unexpected guest. He is a seasoned player who knows the rules of engagement.
So what evidence do we have that Thom is playing the game rather than just performing for it?
His entire demeanor suggests it. Rand sought refuge from the nobles, but Thom himself shows a cunning intelligence and a wary interest in Rand.
Right.
Thom's survival, his current position, it all shows his resilience. The book mentions his deep cynicism towards nobles, indicating he's seen the dark underbelly of power firsthand.
He's now using the game's mechanisms instead of just running from the consequences of political entanglement like he did years ago.
It definitely makes you wonder about Thom's own hidden ambitions, or maybe his personal quest for justice regarding his nephew, Logain.
He's clearly not interested in Rand's lordly status. The book notes him referring to Rand as a shepherd in a fancy coat, with Aes Sedai around him like bees around honey roses.
Thom sees the core Rand, but he also sees the incredible danger surrounding him.
And that's why this reunion isn't just sentimental, it's strategically vital. Thom immediately offers Rand invaluable perspective.
The crucial wisdom he needs to survive among power players like the Cairhien and nobles, and more importantly, the Aes Sedai.
Let's focus on that ultimate piece of wisdom delivered in Chapter 33 because it really frames Rand's entire relationship with the White Tower moving forward.
It's delivered as a definitive, unvarnished truth. Thom warns Rand about the Aes Sedai, saying, Aes Sedai never lie, but the truth you hear may not be the truth you think it is.
That phrase is a survival guide in a world governed by power and manipulation. It's the ultimate lesson in critical listening.
It is, because it gives Rand the necessary framework to process all the manipulations he's been facing. Thom is essentially saying, listen to the literal words, trust the syntax, but never, ever trust the implications or the assumptions they allow you to make about their motives.
So an Aes Sedai can tell you the sun will rise tomorrow.
But they may be omitting the fact that they have plans to blind you before then.
But wait, let's introduce some critical conflict here. Thom is offering this blanket cynicism, but Verin Sedai is right there, actively helping the group.
That's the key tension.
She confirmed that Barthanes' manor is a dark friend lair. She provided the strategic intelligence that allowed them to be there tonight. Is Thom's blanket cynicism useful right now, or is he just projecting his own past failures and bitterness onto Rand?
And that's the critical question you need to be asking. Thom's warning is based on institutional memory and decades of observation. Verin, however, is providing tactical support.
This highlights the nuance of the White Tower.
Exactly. Its goals are often larger than individual lives, and sometimes those goals align perfectly with the hero's immediate needs. Verin is a brown Aja. She's driven by knowledge. Her immediate agenda might genuinely be to locate the Horn and investigate the Aiel.
So Rand's challenge is to benefit from Verin's guidance, to accept the truth she offers without falling victim to her agenda, whatever that larger unstated goal might be.
Thom's warning forces Rand to treat every interaction with her as a strategic analysis. It demands a mental separation between the literal truth and the implied intention.
It forces Rand to grow up really, really quickly. He has to realize that political allies are rarely friends.
And Thom, by giving this warning, sets himself up not as a passive observer, but as a potential, if reluctant, guide in the game. He's telling Rand that surviving the pattern requires more than just channeling the one power.
It requires intellectual cunning.
And that intellectual cunning is needed immediately because the physical danger is escalating minute by minute.
Especially now that they've pinpointed Fain.
The irony is just. Rand needed to enter the political realm to find the prophetic artifact. The aristocratic parlor game of Daisy's Daemar has served its purpose.
It led them to the place where the true pursuit begins.
And the true pursuit involves going somewhere truly dark.
Okay, so let's set the stage for the cliffhanger and the final move. We leave Rand and his friends trapped inside Lord Barthane's lavish manor, a suspected dark friend lair. They successfully infiltrated the party. They secured the information they needed from Huron's tracking, but the Horn and the dagger are still out of reach.
The immediate threat is that they are surrounded by the Cairhien and elite, and they have to execute their exit strategy. They leave the party to pursue Huron's scent trail, which is their only guide in this labyrinth.
Huron's ability is fascinating here because it just cuts through all the political complexities.
It does.
While Barthanes and his guests operate on veiled words and implications, Huron deals in the undeniable physical scent of evil and violence. He's the ultimate counterweapon to Daes Daemar.
And that nose leads them to Barthane's walled garden, where they find some terrifying signs.
Right. Chapter 34's summary details Urien leading Rand to a seemingly ordinary garden where they find evidence that Dark Friends, including Trollocs, entered, but never exited.
The ultimate trap is waiting in the garden. They discover the terrifying stone structure, the Waygate.
And this is the moment where all the political maneuvering just ends.
And ancient deadly magic takes over. The Waygate is a gateway to the mystical and dangerous ways, a network of interdimensional shortcuts polluted by the black wind, Michin Shin.
That tension immediately escalates when Rand impulsively tries to open the Waygate. He's just desperate, he's tired of delays, and he inadvertently releases Michin Shin.
The black wind, which embodies madness and violence.
And the book confirms that Rand, in this burst of sheer desperate channeling, he has to combat the black wind and successfully close the Waygate.
This spontaneous exercise of the one power and the confrontation with pure evil, it perfectly encapsulates the escalating stakes that defined our focus chapters. The path they took, starting with political intrigue, has led directly to a confrontation with ancient, terrifying, world-ending power.
And this confrontation confirms Fane's path. Having secured the horn and Mat's dagger, he has taken the ways and is likely heading to Toman Head.
So the immediate decision for the group, urged on by the tactically minded Verin, is firm. They have to pursue Fane through that deadly gate.
And Rand, galvanized by the threat to Mat and the urgency to protect their homeland, is determined.
The entire arc we've discussed, from fleeing the Aes Sedai, finding the horn, losing it, dealing with the Game of Houses, and confronting an Aiel prophecy, it has all led to this forced march through literal darkness.
What's truly profound is how the personal and the prophetic have merged. Rand is running from the White Tower, he's running from the title of Lord Rand.
But the Aiel prophecy, introduced by Urien in Chapter 29, views him not as a political failure or a runaway channeler,
but as he who comes with the dawn, the dragon figure destined to return.
He's now standing at a precipice, realizing that his individual desires are irrelevant against the grand designs of the pattern. He's forced to acknowledge that his political duty playing Daisy Stimar and his prophetic duty, answering the Aiel's millennia-old quest, are mutually exclusive, yet equally inescapable.
He is trapped not by walls, but by destiny.
And that raises a final provocative thought for you, the listener, as Rand faces this dark gate.
Rand desperately clings to his identity as just a shepherd. But the discovery of the Aiel and their prophesied mission suggests that his true duty lies neither in the Westland cities nor in the White Tower, but in a destiny tied to the threefold land and the ancient Wheel of Time.
And the source material captures the immensity of this burden perfectly with a single quote that synthesizes all the themes of responsibility Rand is grappling with. It's a quote that guides the culture of the warriors he's destined to lead. Death is lighter than a feather, duty heavier than a mountain.
That quote frames his entire journey moving forward. Whether he is Rand al'Thor, the Shepherd, or the Dragon Reborn, the weight of his duty to his friends, to Mat's life, to the world, and to prophecy is now the heaviest force guiding his fate. That, my friend, is a thread he cannot burn or ignore.
Indeed. And it is the one thread he must now learn to weave himself if he is to survive the darkness that awaits.
We'll see how he does just that as he steps into the ways on the next Gleeman's Lullaby.